There is a place on Earth that hasn't seen the sun in 15 million years. 2 miles beneath the Antarctic ice, trapped in a silence so deep it feels like another planet, lies Lake Vostok, a massive liquid abyss hidden from our timeline. NASA calls it a mirror to alien worlds. Geologists call it a time bomb. Inside, the pressure is crushing, the oxygen is toxic, and the DNA found here doesn't match anything on the tree of life. We are about to drill through the ice and enter a world that was never meant to be found. Welcome to the 15 million year silence. Fact 1. The 15 million year silence. For over 15 million years, Lake Vostok has been sealed away from the rest of the planet by a moving ice sheet over 2 miles thick. While empires rose and fell, and entire species went extinct on the surface, this massive body of water remained in total, absolute darkness. It is a time capsule of an ancient Earth, containing water that hasn't touched a single molecule of our modern atmosphere since long before the first humans walked the plains of Africa. To step into Lake Vostok is to step out of our timeline and into a prehistoric silence that the world has long forgotten. Fact 2. The impossible pressure. The water in Lake Vostok shouldn't be liquid. At those temperatures, it should be a solid block of ice. However, the sheer weight of the 13,000-foot ice sheet pressing down on the lake creates a staggering amount of geothermal and gravitational pressure. This pressure lowers the freezing point of the water, keeping it in a liquid state, but a state that is incredibly volatile. If a hole were drilled into the lake without extreme caution, the sudden release of this pressure could cause the water to shoot up the borehole like a frozen geyser, potentially contaminating an environment that has been sterile for eons. Fact 3. The oxygen trap paradox. Because the lake is fed by the slow melting of the overhead glacier, it has become supersaturated with oxygen. The levels of oxygen in Lake Vostok are estimated to be 50 times higher than those found in ordinary freshwater lakes on Earth. Normally, oxygen is the fuel for life, but in such extreme concentrations, it becomes a toxic, corrosive force that would destroy almost any modern organism. This creates a biological mystery. Whatever survives in the depths of Vostok has had to evolve a way to live inside a breathable poison, making it one of the most hostile yet oxygen-rich environments in the known universe. Fact 4. The magnetic anomaly of the North. During the early mapping of the lake, researchers discovered a massive, unexplained magnetic anomaly located near the northern shoreline. Stretching over 60 miles long and 18 miles wide, this magnetic pull is so powerful that it distorts local magnetic fields and has baffled geologists for decades. Some suggest it is simply a change in the thickness of the Earth's crust, while others whisper about buried metallic structures or ancient geological secrets. In the world of sleepy science, this magnetic ghost represents the unknown, a silent, heavy force sitting at the bottom of the world, pulling at our compasses from beneath the ice. Fact 5. The alien heat source. Even though it is buried under the coldest ice on Earth, the bottom of Lake Vostok might be surprisingly warm. Scientists believe there are hydrothermal vents, cracks in the Earth's crust, leaking heat into the lake's floor. This creates a thermal layer cake where the top of the lake is near freezing, but the bottom is a simmering, mineral-rich soup. This inner heat suggests that Lake Vostok isn't just a stagnant pool. It is a breathing, circulating engine of energy, potentially supporting a hidden ecosystem that thrives on chemicals and heat rather than sunlight. Fact 6. The frictionless abyss. At the base of the Antarctic ice sheet, where it meets the surface of Lake Vostok, something incredible happens. The ice doesn't just sit on the water, it floats on a thin film of subglacial melt. This creates a nearly frictionless environment. The massive glacier above, weighing billions of tons, slides over the lake with a ghostly silence. For millions of years, this sliding motion has created tidal waves within the lake that move in slow motion. Giant, underwater swells of freezing water that rise and fall over centuries. It is a slow, rhythmic pulse of a world that is moving, yet completely hidden from the sun. Fact 7. The golden microbes, life that shouldn't exist when Russian scientists finally broke through the ice and sampled the accretion ice, water from the lake that has frozen onto the bottom of the glacier. They found DNA that didn't match anything in our global database. They discovered bacteria that survive by eating minerals and breathing iron. These organisms are effectively immortal in our terms. They live in a state of near-zero metabolism, surviving for thousands of years on a single spark of chemical energy. This discovery changed everything. It proved that Lake Vostok isn't just a grave of ice, but a thriving alien laboratory of life. Fact 8. The Mirror World. A direct link to Europa. NASA and other space agencies use Lake Vostok as the primary analog for Jupiter's moon, Europa, and Saturn's moon, Enceladus. Scientists believe that the conditions inside Vostok, extreme pressure, total darkness, and high oxygen, are an exact mirror of what we will find in the oceans of outer space. If we can prove that life exists in the crushing depths of Vostok, it almost guarantees that we are not alone in the solar system. The lake isn't just a part of Antarctica. It is a portal that helps us understand how life might survive on frozen moons millions of miles away. Fact 9. The Hidden River Network. For a long time, it was believed that Lake Vostok was an isolated tank of water. But recent satellite gravity mapping has revealed something more complex: the subglacial arteries. Vostok is connected to over 300 other smaller lakes beneath the ice through a network of hidden rivers that flow uphill against gravity due to the immense pressure of the ice. This means the entire continent of Antarctica has a secret, dark plumbing system flowing beneath it, with Lake Vostok acting as the heart that pumps water through the veins of a frozen continent. Fact 10. The crystalline sky. A ceiling of jewels. If you could stand on the surface of the lake and look up, you wouldn't see a sky. Instead, you would see a ceiling of jewels. Because the lake water slowly freezes onto the bottom of the glacier, it forms massive, jagged crystals of pure ice that can be the size of skyscrapers. These crystals are so clear and so perfectly formed because they grew over millions of years without wind or weather, that they would reflect any light source like a million diamonds. It is a cathedral of glass, 2 miles underground, where the sky is made of solid ancient pressure. Fact 11. The frozen gale, winds of pressure. While there is no wind inside Lake Vostok in the traditional sense, there is a phenomenon known as thermal siphoning. Because one end of the lake is slightly warmer due to geothermal heat and the other is colder, the water density changes constantly. This creates slow-moving, powerful underwater currents that act like a frozen gale. These currents are so heavy and pressurized that they can move massive boulders across the lake floor over thousands of years. It is a silent, invisible storm, moving in a world where the air has been replaced by the weight of a continent. Fact 12. The acoustic mirror. The sound of nothing. Lake Vostok is perhaps the quietest place on Earth, but to a scientist's sensors, it is loud. The ice sheet above acts as a massive acoustic mirror. Any tectonic shift or ice crack miles away echoes through the ice and bounces off the lake's surface, creating a haunting, metallic, pinging sound that can travel for hundreds of miles under the ice. If you were down there, you wouldn't hear silence. You would hear the groaning of the entire Antarctic continent, amplified and distorted by the liquid abyss below. Fact 13. The primordial soup. Genetic time travel scientists suspect that the sediment at the bottom of Lake Vostok contains extinct DNA. This is DNA from organisms that existed when Antarctica was still a lush, green forest millions of years ago, before it drifted to the South Pole and froze. As the ice slowly grinded the mountains into the lake, it deposited the remains of a lost world into the mud. This makes the lake floor a biological hard drive, storing the blueprints of creatures that haven't walked the earth for 30 million years, perfectly preserved in a deep freeze. Fact 14. The subglacial tides. The moon's reach even under 2 miles of solid ice. Lake Vostok feels the pull of the moon. Researchers have discovered that the lake has its own tides. The surface of the lake rises and falls by several centimeters according to the lunar cycle. Think about that. The moon, 238,000 miles away in space, is reaching through the vacuum of the cosmos, through the thickest ice on our planet, to pull on a body of water that hasn't seen the sky in 15 million years. The lake is still dancing with the stars, even in total darkness. Fact 15. The sterile nightmare. The risk of touch. The most terrifying fact about Lake Vostok is its vulnerability. Because it has been isolated for so long, it has no defense against modern bacteria. A single drop of human sweat or a dirty drill bit could trigger a biological chain reaction that could wipe out the entire alien ecosystem of the lake in weeks. It is a sterile nightmare, a world so fragile that the mere act of trying to see it could destroy it forever. This is why scientists spend decades designing a single drill. They aren't just fighting the ice, they are fighting to keep our world from poisoning theirs. Fact 16. The supercooled anomaly in certain pockets of Lake Vostok. The water exists in a supercooled state. This means the water is actually below its normal freezing point, but remains liquid because there is nothing for a crystal to cling to. No dust, no movement, just pure, sterile isolation. However, if a single grain of sand or a foreign object were to drop into this pocket, the water would flash freeze into solid ice in a matter of seconds. It is a frozen trap, waiting for a trigger, a delicate balance of physics that has remained undisturbed for millions of years. Fact 17. The gas hydrate, time bomb deep within the lake's sediment, there are massive deposits of methane hydrates, gas trapped inside cages of ice. Because of the extreme pressure of the 2-mile-thick glacier, these gases are compressed into a highly unstable solid form. If the pressure of the lake ever shifted suddenly, these fire ice deposits could destabilize, releasing massive plumes of gas into the water. This would turn the silent lake into a churning, bubbling cauldron of prehistoric gases, potentially changing the chemical makeup of the entire subglacial system in an instant. Fact 18. The Vostok Core. A history of air. When scientists drill into the ice above the lake, they aren't just looking at water, they are looking at ancient air. As snow fell millions of years ago and compressed into the glacier, it trapped tiny bubbles of the atmosphere from that exact time. By analyzing these bubbles, we can breathe the same air that was present on Earth before the ice ages began. Lake Vostok is covered by an atmospheric library, where every inch of ice is a page describing the climate of a world that no longer exists. Fact 19. The Ghost Mountains. Gamburtsev's shadow, Lake Vostok, isn't just sitting in a hole. It is nestled against the Gamburtsev mountain range, a massive chain of peaks the size of the European Alps that is completely buried under the ice. These ghost mountains are perfectly preserved, with sharp peaks and deep valleys that have never been eroded by wind or rain. The lake sits in the shadow of these invisible giants, creating a landscape that is as dramatic as the Himalayas, yet forever locked in a lightless, frozen tomb where no human eye will ever see their summits. Fact 20. The biological dark matter. The DNA found in Lake Vostok's accretion ice often contains what scientists call biological dark matter. This refers to genetic sequences that do not align with any known branch of the tree of life. Not bacteria, not archaea, and certainly not eukaryotes. It is as if a separate evolutionary experiment started under the ice and moved in a completely different direction than the rest of the planet. We aren't just looking at old life. We are looking at different life, a biological mystery that suggests our understanding of life itself is incomplete. Fact 21. The cold fire, chemolithotrophy, and the absolute darkness of Lake Vostok, photosynthesis is impossible. There is no sun to provide energy. Instead, life here relies on a process called chemolithotrophy, literally eating stone. Microbes in the lake survive by chemically breaking down the minerals in the rocks on the lake floor. This cold fire of chemical energy means that life in Vostok doesn't need the sun, the moon, or the atmosphere. It is a self-sustaining engine of life that could, in theory, survive even if the sun were to go out tomorrow. Fact 22. The geological heartbeat. Recent seismic studies have revealed that Lake Vostok might be breathing. Because of the immense pressure changes and the movement of the ice sheet above, the lake floor occasionally flexes. This geological heartbeat pushes mineral-rich water from the deep sediment up into the main body of the lake. To an observer, it would look like the lake is pulsing, a slow, rhythmic movement that happens once every few centuries, circulating the life-giving minerals like blood through an ancient, frozen body. Fact 23. The trona of the deep, unknown minerals, the chemical composition of the lake, is so unique that scientists believe there are minerals forming at the bottom that don't exist anywhere else on Earth. Under the extreme, superoxygenated, and high-pressure conditions, elements bond in ways that are impossible on the surface. These Vostok crystals could hold properties we've never seen, from superconductors to new forms of crystalline energy storage. We are looking at an alien chemistry lab that has been running its own experiments for 15 million years. Fact 24. The subglacial silence. A sensory void if you were to lower a camera into Lake Vostok. The silence would be absolute in a way no human can comprehend. On the surface, there is always the sound of air, insects, or distant machinery. In Vostok, there is no air to carry sound waves from the surface. The water is so still that even the tiniest movement of a microscopic organism creates a vibration that can be felt across the entire lake. In this sensory void, the lake becomes a giant ear, where the slightest ripple is a cataclysmic event. Fact 25. The time-dilated evolution because the metabolism of the organisms in Lake Vostok is so incredibly slow. Their evolution happens on a different time scale. A single generation of a Vostok microbe might take centuries to reproduce. This means that while humans evolved from primates to space travelers, the life in Lake Vostok has barely changed. They are evolutionary ghosts, living relics of a biological design that was perfected millions of years ago and has seen no reason to change in the perfect, dark stillness of the abyss. Fact 26. The Antarctic lung, a deadly exhale. Lake Vostok is under so much pressure that it is constantly trying to exhale. If the ice sheet above were to suddenly disappear, the lake would expand with such force that it would cause a geological explosion unlike anything seen in history. The gas-saturated water would instantly turn into foam and vapor, creating a subglacial eruption that could shatter the surrounding ice shelf. The lake is effectively a liquid bomb of oxygen and methane, held in check only by the 2-mile-thick weight of the frozen world above. Fact 27. The tectonic wound. The rift mystery. The lake sits directly inside a massive tectonic rift, a place where the Earth's crust is being pulled apart. Scientists have discovered that this rift is still active. This means that while the surface of Antarctica is a frozen desert, the ground beneath Lake Vostok is moving. Small, silent ice quakes happen deep below, shifting the lake's bed and releasing ancient minerals from the mantle. It is a world where the fire of the Earth's core meets the absolute zero of the Antarctic ice, creating a thermal war in total darkness. Fact 28. The mirror of Jupiter. The testing ground. NASA doesn't just study Lake Vostok for fun. They use it as a testing ground for alien hunting. The robots designed to search for life on Jupiter's moon, Europa, are first dropped into the freezing, pressurized depths of Antarctica. If a machine can survive the Vostok abyss, it is deemed worthy of space travel. To the scientists, the lake isn't just a part of our world. It is a simulated alien planet right here on Earth, a place so foreign that it serves as the final exam for our journey to the stars. Fact 29. The ghost currents. The infinite loop. Because of the lake's shape and the way geothermal heat rises from the bottom, the water in Lake Vostok moves in a closed-loop system. A single drop of water can take thousands of years to complete one lap around the lake. These ghost currents mean that anything trapped in the water, be it a prehistoric microbe or an ancient mineral, is destined to circle the dark abyss in an infinite loop, never escaping, never changing, until the ice itself eventually moves it away millions of years later. Fact 30. The biological isolation curse. The most haunting fact for biologists is the isolation curse. Because the organisms in Lake Vostok have been separated from the rest of the world for 15 million years, they have no immune memory. They haven't evolved alongside the viruses and bacteria of the surface world. If a modern human virus were to enter the lake, it wouldn't just be an infection, it would be an evolutionary eraser. The entire biological history of the lake would be wiped out before we could even record it. Fact leaving behind a silent, snowing sterile water phrasal ice inside Lake Vostok. It actually snows, but the snow falls upwards. This phenomenon, known as phrasal ice, occurs when supercooled water begins to freeze into tiny needle-like crystals deep in the lake. Because ice is less dense than water, these crystals float toward the ceiling, creating a constant, shimmering upward blizzard in the dark. If you were floating in the middle of the lake, you would see millions of tiny ice stars rising from the abyss toward the frozen sky above. Fact 32. The pressure cooker of cold, the water at the bottom of Lake Vostok is under approximately 350 atmospheres of pressure. To put that in perspective, it's the equivalent of having an elephant stand on your thumb. This pressure is so intense that it changes the very structure of the water molecules, making them behave more like a thick, viscous gel than a free-flowing liquid. This heavy water environment means that any movement, even by a microscopic creature, requires immense energy, leading to a world where everything moves in extreme slow motion. Fact 33. The subglacial tsunami. Risk geologists fear a rare event called a GLOF, Glacial Lake Outburst Flood. If the ice dam holding Lake Vostok were to ever crack due to a major earthquake, the volume of water released would be so massive that it could potentially alter the ocean currents of the southern hemisphere. It wouldn't just be a local flood. It would be a continental exhale that could raise sea levels globally in a matter of days. The lake is a sleeping giant held back by a fragile wall of ancient ice. Fact 34. The sterile gold. Accretion ice, the bottom layer of the Antarctic ice sheet, is made of accretion ice, lake water that has frozen onto the glacier. This ice is so pure that it is considered the most sterile natural substance on Earth. It contains zero dust, zero pollen, and zero modern pollutants. Scientists call it transparent gold because it allows them to look back at the chemistry of the planet from millions of years ago as if they were looking through a perfectly clear window into the past. Fact 35. The magnetosphere mystery. Some researchers believe that the massive magnetic anomaly at the north end of the lake, Fact 4, might be caused by a crystalline iron deposit left over from the Earth's formation. This deposit could be acting as a secondary, localized magnetosphere. If true, it means that at the bottom of the world, there is a magnetic heart that pulses independently of the rest of the planet, creating a strange, protected zone where the laws of magnetism behave differently than anywhere else on the surface. Fact 36. The prehistoric atmosphere, trapped inside the tiny bubbles trapped in the ice just above the lake. The air pressure is nearly twice as high as the air we breathe on the surface. This is high-pressure ancient air. If you were to crack open a piece of this ice, you would hear a sharp pop as air from the era of the giants is finally released. This air has a higher concentration of oxygen and nitrogen than our modern world, meaning that if you could breathe it, your senses would feel sharper, your mind clearer, but only for a moment before the modern world rushed back in. Fact 37. The biological clock that stopped. Some scientists hypothesize that because the environment in Lake Vostok is so stable, no seasons, no sunlight, no temperature changes, the biological clock of the organisms there has essentially stopped. On the surface, life evolves and ages in response to the environment. In Vostok, there is no environment to react to. This suggests that the lake might be home to biological immortality, where cells don't age because the very concept of time has no meaning in the dark, pressurized cradle of the abyss. Fact 38. The Vostok core. The Earth's memory. The Russian drilling project at Vostok produced the longest ice core in history, reaching a depth of over 37.0 meters. This core is a vertical timeline. The bottom of the core contains ice that was formed when Antarctica was still moving into its current position. By reading this core, scientists found evidence of massive volcanic eruptions and solar flares that happened tens of thousands of years ago, all recorded in the frozen memory of the lake's ceiling. Fact 39. The dark geysers of the deep. There is a theory that Lake Vostok isn't just a static pool, but a breathing valve. Occasionally, the pressure from the geothermal vents at the bottom becomes so great that it forces dark geysers of mineral-rich water to shoot upward into the lake. These plumes carry nutrients from the Earth's mantle, acting like a life support system for the microbes. Without these invisible dark eruptions, the lake would have become a sterile graveyard millions of years ago. Fact 40. The sonic glass phenomenon. The ice over Lake Vostok is under such extreme tension that it behaves like sonic glass. If a scientist uses seismic explosives to map the lake, the sound waves don't just travel. They shatter through the crystalline structure of the ice. This creates a sonic storm within the ice sheet that can be detected by sensors on the other side of the continent. The ice is so tightly packed that it acts as a giant, frozen fiber optic cable, carrying the voice of the lake for thousands of miles. Fact 41. The molecular stasis. Life frozen in time in the most remote corners of Lake Vostok, where the geothermal heat doesn't reach and the oxygen levels are at their most toxic. Scientists suspect the existence of molecular stasis. This is a state where life doesn't just slow down. It effectively pauses. The microbes here aren't dead, but they aren't living either. Their molecular structures are held in a perfect, crystalline grip by the extreme pressure. They are waiting for a change in the environment that hasn't come in 10 million years. If brought to the surface, these organisms might wake up to a world that is completely alien to them, carrying biological blueprints from a time before the ice even existed. Fact 42. The subglacial tides and the lunar pull. Even though Lake Vostok is buried under a slab of ice thicker than most mountains, it still dances to the rhythm of the cosmos. The moon's gravitational pull is so powerful that it reaches through the vacuum of space, through the Earth's atmosphere, and through 2 miles of solid ice to create subglacial tides within the lake. Every day, the surface of the lake rises and falls by several millimeters. This constant, subtle shifting creates a rhythmic groaning of the ice ceiling, a low-frequency vibration that echoes through the lightless abyss, reminding us that even in the most isolated place on Earth, the universe is still in control. Fact 43. The hydrothermal chimneys of the abyss at the very bottom of the lake, where the Earth's crust is thin and the heat of the mantle leaks through. There may be hydrothermal chimneys made of rare minerals like pyrite and chalcopyrite. These towering structures would belch out clouds of black, mineral-rich smoke into the freezing water. In the total darkness, these chimneys would be the only cities in the abyss, surrounded by clusters of strange, translucent life forms that have never seen a plant or felt the sun's warmth. This creates a dual world inside the lake, a freezing ceiling of ice above and a simmering volcanic floor below, with a vast, silent void in between. Fact 44. The ghostly transparency of the accretion ice, the ice that forms directly above the water of Lake Vostok, is unlike any ice you have ever seen. Because it freezes so slowly under such immense pressure, it contains no air bubbles and no impurities. It is as clear as the finest optical glass. If you could stand on the lake's surface and look up with a powerful light, you wouldn't see a solid wall. You would see a transparent abyss stretching miles above you. This clarity is a scientific miracle, allowing researchers to use lasers to scan the lake's depths from within the ice itself, searching for the shadows of things that shouldn't be there. Fact 45. The biological dark matter mystery. When geneticists analyzed the water samples from the Vostok borehole, they encountered what is now famously called biological dark matter. A significant percentage of the DNA sequences found in the lake do not match any known kingdom of life, neither bacteria, nor fungi, nor animals. It is as if Lake Vostok has been running its own separate beta test of evolution for 15 million years, completely independent of the rest of the planet. We are looking at a world that didn't follow our rules, suggesting that if we ever find life on other planets, it might look more like the ghosts of Vostok than anything we recognize. Fact 46. The frozen sun, sonoluminescence in the abyss. There is a theoretical possibility that in the crushing depths of Lake Vostok, a phenomenon called sonoluminescence occurs. As the massive ice sheet above groans and shifts, it creates intense sound waves that travel through the water. When these sound waves hit tiny bubbles of gas, the bubbles can collapse so violently that they emit a microscopic flash of light and a burst of intense heat. In a world of absolute, eternal darkness, these tiny stars would be the only light ever produced, a ghostly, flickering glow that lasts only a billionth of a second, illuminating the void for creatures that have no eyes to see it. Fact 47. The planetary guardian. A lesson for Mars. Lake Vostok is the primary reason scientists are rethinking how we search for life on Mars. For decades, we thought life needed a surface environment, but Vostok proves that a planet's heart can keep life alive even if its skin is a frozen wasteland. If a planet like Mars has a frozen exterior, Lake Vostok suggests there could be massive, liquid oceans miles beneath its red dust, thriving with life that has no idea the surface even exists. The lake is not just a terrestrial mystery, it is the blueprint for finding life in the most hostile corners of our solar system. Fact 48. The entropy trap. A world without change on the surface of the Earth, life is defined by change, seasons, weather, and the cycle of day and night. But inside Lake Vostok, the environment is so perfectly stable that it has reached a state of near-zero entropy. The temperature, the pressure, and the chemical levels have remained virtually identical for millions of years. This stability is terrifying to scientists because it creates a stagnant Eden, a place where evolution may have reached its final perfect form. If there is no reason to change, life simply stops evolving, creating a world of living statues that are as old as the ice itself. Fact 49. The echo of the mantle. The magnetic ghost, the massive magnetic anomaly at the northern end of Lake Vostok, is so powerful that it interferes with the navigation systems of aircraft flying thousands of feet above the ice. Some geophysicists believe this isn't just a rock formation, but a thin spot in the Earth's crust where the liquid metal of the outer core is closer to the surface than anywhere else. This means Lake Vostok might be listening to the magnetic heartbeat of the Earth's core. The lake acts as a giant liquid conductor, amplifying the planet's internal vibrations into a silent magnetic roar that fills the subglacial abyss. Fact 50. The Great Exhale. The final warning, the most haunting fact about Lake Vostok is its eventual fate. The Antarctic ice sheet is not static. It is a slow-moving river of ice. One day, millions of years from now, the glacier will move enough to finally expose the lake to the open air, or it will melt due to the Earth's changing climate. When that happens, Lake Vostok will exhale for the first time in 30 million years. The release of ancient gases, prehistoric microbes, and superoxygenated water will be a biological and atmospheric event of global proportions. It is a time bomb of ancient history, waiting for its moment to rejoin a world that has long since moved on without it.